and are not well read enough to know Yogi Berra, let me mention to you, he is a baseball player. Mahbub, chuckling with laughter, each week, more or less, reminded us of Yogi's challenge. He said, making a gesture like this, when you come to a fork, well, just take it. And what he intended to tell us was that we should not get stuck in intellectual, well-established molds, but that we should try to be imaginative, that we should try to think along new lines, and just go into uncharted territory. He felt inspired by great men like Amartya Sen or McNamara, but he also adored great female figures, and among them Alice in Wonderland. It was his dearest wish, and I must admit it was never fulfilled, to see the Human Development Report 1 year come out with quotations from Alice in Wonderland opening each chapter. Being very timid and narrow-minded, we, his colleagues, tried to struggle against this each year. But then Mahbub published his own book, Reflections on Human Development. And when you open it, you will see each chapter has a quotation from Alice in Wonderland on top. And once one realizes Mahbub's being so unencumbered and so uncomplicated, one understands the questions he raises and the way he thinks. For example, nation states, he used to ask, aren't these recent institutions just a few hundred years old? Why think in terms of countries and nation states? Why not think across national borders so that you can see what happens to people in development? Or another question, pyramids, he used to ask, aren't pyramids these things with a broad base and a slim top? But then why do we invest only 10% of public expenditures in education into the basics? Why 90% to the top? Isn't this an inverse pyramid, even perverse? Or the world? He said, it isn't round. It is, as you can see over there, like a champagne glass, with more than 80% of all opportunities in the top, and just a mere drop in the long, thin stem for the huddled masses of the world. And secondly, in a wonderful and open way, Mahbub also used to carry his heart on his sleeve, just like children do. He was passionate about budgetary restructuring, especially about cutting military expenditures to help the poor, the huddled masses of the world. But his love and compassion was not out there only in the public for the masses of this world. His love and passion also went to Bani and his family. Whenever we traveled, and Mahbub and I traveled quite a lot, we wouldn't miss any airport shop to buy a handbag or perfume for Bani. And wherever we went, we had to rush around looking for the flower shop to send a bush of red roses to Bani, and only the reddest ones would do. Mahbub was just Mahbub, openly, plainly, and proudly, and I think this to the good of humanity as a whole. We, his colleagues, consider ourselves fortunate to have worked with him, and I would like once again to say, Mahbub, thank you for everything you have taught us. And in honor of Mahbub, let me end with one of his favorites, his intellectual favorites, which influenced him so much, a quotation from Alice in Wonderland. He loved to say that it is very strange to see a cat with a smile, but it is even stranger to see a smile without a cat. And I think it is very strange to be here without Mahbub.
We are honored to have with us the Secretary General of the United Nations. Thank you very much.
Excellencies and dear friends, 3 months after Mahbub's Dr Haq's untimely death, it is still very difficult to come to terms with the fact that he is no longer with us. After his immediate family, we here are the ones that feel his loss most acutely. We who were privileged to know and work with Mahbub in the United Nations system, we know how great and how unique his contribution was. We also know that it was a loss for the whole world. His enduring monument is the annual Human Development Report, which he created in 1990 and edited until 1996. It has caught the world's imagination and has served as a model for similar national reports in more than 100 different countries. He showed us that the power of ideas and the United Nations at its best has always been built on bold ideas rooted in human concerns. In economics, this has been recognized, albeit sometimes belatedly, by the award of Nobel Prize to no fewer than 9 economists who worked with or for the United Nations over the years. I'm sure it will give great pleasure to Mahbub, as it does to all of us, that the latest to receive this honor should be Amartya Sen, whose moving tribute to his old friend you have just heard. It is obvious enough what these two great South Asian economists have in common: the profound conviction that what matters in development is not quantities produced, but the quality of life lived by each human being. In Mahbub's case, that belief was deeply rooted in his Islamic faith. It informed all his work through the decades at the World Bank, as advisor to so many international commissions, as a member of his own, as a minister in his own country, Pakistan, and above all at UNDP. It is with him that we most strongly associate the idea that governments should not focus simply on economic growth, but on expanding the range of choices available to ordinary people. We shall miss him as a friend, but he is still with us as an inspiration. We must never lose sight of his example. Thank you very much.
When I was offered a job to work with Dr. Mahbubul Haq, I practically knew nothing about him except for his association with the Human Development